And I do have some new business before we get to the resolutions. Um, I'd like to briefly comment on Disney's and their lawyers' litigation tactics in the federal lawsuit that they filed against this board. Last week, the Walt Disney Corporation eliminated components of its own litigation against the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District in federal court. Those who have not been following this matter could be forgiven for not immediately grasping the import of Disney's action. But that action, in the legal world, constitutes, if not an earthquake, at least a major tremor. This was indeed an extraordinary concession on the part of Disney. Disney backtracked, effectively conceding that it never should have filed the 4 federal causes of action against this board in federal court. To be clear, and I want to be clear on this because I've spoken to this before, the dispute between Disney and the board only involves contracts. Contracts that the corporation Disney entered into with our predecessor, the Reedy Creek Improvement District. As such, it has nothing to do with the dispute between Disney and Governor DeSantis over legislation. Disney knew full well that these are 2 independent matters, but having suddenly found itself on its heels this past spring, it desperately desired a national forum to lash out. In turn, it dragged this board into federal court in Tallahassee. That decision was not only an insult to the people of Florida, but also to the taxpayers of this district who are incurring the legal costs of that unnecessary battle. In retrospect, Disney's retraction has proven a mockery of the legal system. It's a noteworthy event when lawyers voluntarily dismiss causes of action against defendants, which is what Disney did with respect to this board last week. In doing so, Disney has all but admitted it knew that the federal charges against this board were bogus, and moreover that the filing of them constituted a publicity stunt, not to mention a repugnant one that took place at the expense of both the integrity of the legal system and of the economic interest of the taxpayers in this district. This board is also fully confident when all is said and done, the 11th hour agreements will fall by the same wayside as their dismissed federal complaints. It's worth quickly reminding the public how we arrived at this point. Disney exploited the generosity of the people of Florida over the years through the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act. What worked in the early years to spark economic development in Central Florida later proved to be an urban planning quagmire with horrific governance practices. A light was finally shined on the problem, and Disney got caught. Disney used the 1967 Act to establish footing in Central Florida to minimize, if not eliminate, all hurdles in its campaign to mold the district to serve the best interests of Disney at the expense of the public good. All along the way, it seized control of the local government through a variety of unsavory means. Politely, and I say politely, the Reedy Creek Improvement District could have been described as a, quote, public-private partnership, close quote. In reality, in terms of scope and scale, it became one of the greatest examples of corporate cronyism in modern American history. After the establishment of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District in April, this board has acted swiftly and effectively to make sure that the operations of the district are promoting the public good. One of our focuses has been to institute transparency and appropriate governance practices, which were sorely lacking in the governance of this district by the old Reedy Creek Board for more than half a century. We as a board are tremendously proud of what we have accomplished in a short period of time, and we are eager to continue our work on behalf of residents, employees, tourists, and all of our constituents to function as an independent government. I didn't think that this meeting should go without my making sure, because I understand that some people don't appreciate the fact